Right now on Morning News Now, high-stakes meeting. President Biden meeting with Ukrainian President Zelenskyy this morning at the NATO summit. A main topic at their one-on-one discussion, admitting Ukraine into the alliance. Tensions are high after Zelenskyy blasted NATO leaders, calling a condition they made for joining, quote, absurd. We have full coverage this morning from Lithuania. Also, cleaning up from historic flooding. This morning, the recovery process is just getting started in Vermont. While some parts are still underwater, a sliver of good news for one city where they've been keeping a close eye on a dam in danger of breaching. And that's just one of two major weather issues gripping the country. That sweltering heat wave that's been suffocating the Southwest is now expected to expand to other parts of the country. We're tracking the dangerous conditions and how one city could soon see a nearly 50-year-old heat record shattered. Plus, moving forward, two grand juries are now selected, tasked with deciding if former President Donald Trump will face more criminal charges, this time over claims of election interference in Georgia. We're breaking down what comes next and what it could mean for the Republican frontrunner in the 2024 presidential election. And changing the game in a field typically dominated by men will introduce you to the women leading the charge for sports in one of America's fastest growing cities.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Joe Fryer.
And I'm Savannah Sellers. It's great to have you with us. We begin our show with the NATO summit and a series of crucial meetings that could shape the future of the war in Ukraine.
This morning, Ukraine's President Zelenskyy is joining NATO leaders on day 2 of the summit. He's meeting with several leaders, including President Biden. Zelensky's appearance comes one day after NATO said Ukraine does have a future inside the military alliance, but rebuffed his call to set a timeline for membership. Zelenskyy is blasting that decision. Here's what NATO's Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg had to say after meeting with Zelenskyy.
Ukraine is now closer to NATO than ever before. Allies reaffirmed that Ukraine will become a member of the alliance and agreed to remove the requirement for a membership action plan. This will change Ukraine's membership path from a 2-step process to a 1-step process. And we will issue an invitation for Ukraine to join NATO when allies agree that conditions are met.
In just a few moments, we'll hear from the former U.S. ambassador to Ukraine, Bill Taylor. But first, we want to kick things off with NBC News White House correspondent Monica Alba. Monica, she is in Lithuania. Good morning to you. So we know that this timeline for Ukraine's NATO membership is not quite what President Zelenskyy would have hoped for. Spell it out. What exactly is the alliance's position? What's Zelensky's reaction here?
Exactly, Joe. President Zelenskyy wasn't shy about his displeasure with what NATO leaders agreed to in that communique yesterday, with those 2 key points spelled out. The fact that they won't be able to even be invited to join until allies can agree, because some security reforms need to be met as well as democratic ones. And also they need to completely agree on what can happen once the war is resolved, of course, as it continues to rage on in Ukraine as it defends itself against Russia. So the timeline for that is not what President Zelenskyy wanted, but he did soften his tone after arriving here, thanking the leaders for their continued support when it comes to weapons and defense spending, but of course saying that he wants to see more, and he wanted that in the short term. So while yesterday focused on what he wasn't able to get, today the focus is going to be all about what Ukraine will be receiving. So we did see his disappointment turn into some gratitude, and I think you'll expect to see that between President Biden and President Zelenskyy when they come face to face just a short couple of hours from now, with President Biden being the one to say over the weekend first he didn't think Ukraine was ready to join NATO yet, again, given this timeline. But the fact that it can be fast-tracked once that invitation is extended was something that Ukrainian officials welcomed, even though, again, they want to say they would like to be more included, though now their status has been upgraded to the fact that they can actually call a meeting with all of the members of NATO at any point as they continue, again, to defend themselves in the face of Russian aggression, Joe.
So the issue of Ukraine's NATO membership aside, we know Zelenskyy is meeting President Biden this morning along with a host of other leaders. What kind of support is on the table right now?
Yeah, and there's going to be a new announcement from the G7 leaders here, effectively trying to help Ukraine improve its military to deter any further attack from Russia or anyone else. So what that means is really a long-term security commitment, and then also the ability for some NATO countries to negotiate their own bilateral agreements with Ukraine when it comes to security. Here at NATO, they've really wanted to emphasize the fact that the countries are supposed to pledge 2% of their GDP to defense spending, but they want to make sure that that's now seen as a floor, as a minimum, and not the ceiling, so that countries can continue to do more. And we've already seen countries like Germany and France continue to pledge more help here, with some other NATO countries saying they will help to train Ukrainian pilots on those critical F-16 fighter jets that Ukraine had been asking for so long, that the U.S. finally pledged recently, Joe.
And Monica, we understand President Biden will also give a speech later today after the summit. Real quick, what is the message he's expected to deliver?
The big message here is that if you look at when the start of the war took place and what President Putin then expected to happen when he wanted to, in the words of the U.S., divide the West, that the fact that the NATO alliance is stronger than ever, President Biden is going to say, is a clear indication that President Putin has lost that, at least, attempt. Even though the war is ongoing, 500-plus days and counting, they're going to say that the unity here and the show of support for Ukraine has never been stronger. It continues to be unwavering, and that the only person who should really come out of the entirety of this disappointed, in fact, is Vladimir Putin.
Joe. Right. Monica, thanks so much.
Let's now bring in the former U.S. ambassador to Ukraine, Bill Taylor, for more on this. Ambassador, good morning. Thank you so much for joining us. So how do you think the president should address this disappointment from President Zelenskyy over Ukraine's lack of admission into NATO? Is there a way for the peace to be kept here between NATO allies and Ukraine during this period?
Well, I think so, Savannah. As Monica just reported, there's a lot of support. There's incredible support for Ukraine from the NATO alliance. These new weapons that the French have proposed to catch up with what the Brits have already provided. These are long-range weapons that will help Ukraine on the battlefield. The F-16 training that she just mentioned is all good. So that part is very solid. It's the question about NATO membership. It was never, as you've reported, Savannah, it was never about joining this week. That was not on the table. No one proposed that. No one proposes Ukraine joining in the middle of a war. But what the Ukrainians really were hoping to see was the proposal. You know, they wanted to get engaged, and the alliance didn't quite get there. They said, well, we'll think about it. It's coming.
So, Ambassador, we saw President Biden play this major role in ushering Sweden into the alliance. But then, of course, we've seen him and his opinion, his words matter when it comes to what will happen with Ukraine. We are anticipating this speech from him in just a few hours, as Monica mentioned. Put in context for us the importance of the president's role on the world stage when it comes to this particular move, moving forward with support for Ukraine.
Well, you're right, Savannah. I think President Biden played a major role in getting Sweden approved by the Turks. I think he played a major role in that. And he's been a leader. He's been the leader of the coalition, the broad coalition, not just NATO, but across the world. You know, the Japanese and the New Zealanders and the Australians, the South Koreans, they're all there at this summit. And President Biden gets a lot of credit for that broad coalition. He is seen as being maybe a little overly cautious in terms of the invitation to Ukraine to join the alliance. However, the next summit meeting will be in Washington, D.C. next year. And President Biden can lead that charge for an invitation, indeed for membership next year.
How does this all actually impact what we're seeing on the ground in Ukraine? Is NATO in agreement about how to move ahead while they are still in this conflict?
I think they are, Savannah. I think they are very agreed. They're very united, and the weapons commitments are important. The other thing that's important is, as Monica indicated, President Putin has to be disappointed. His strategy, his only strategy, is to try to wait us out, is to try to stay there as long as it takes until we get tired, And what NATO has described, what NATO has committed, what NATO has shown is it's not getting tired. It's increasing the support for Ukraine, and that will continue. That's got to be a problem for President Putin.
Ambassador Bill Taylor, we always appreciate you. Thanks for joining us. Now let's head to Vermont, where recovery efforts are just beginning to start this morning after the devastating flooding this week.
The flooding there was unprecedented. The storm that slammed into parts of the state dropped 2 months of rain in just 2 days. Vermont's governor says the flood levels were worse than what the state saw from Tropical Storm Irene 12 years ago.
Vermont's emergency management says teams carried out more than 100 rescues yesterday. But this morning, those floodwaters are starting to recede in some areas, and FEMA's response teams are on the ground beginning to assist with relief efforts.
From the northeast to the southwest now, where the heat dome that has been baking that region for weeks is now expected to expand to other parts of the country. And that heat wave in the south is expected to roll right into next week. We have full coverage of both these stories. In just a moment, we're going to talk with the mayor of hard-hit Montpelier, Vermont, about the flooding there. But let's start with meteorologist Michelle Grossman and the heat down south.
That's right. Hey, Michelle, good morning.
Hey there, guys. Great to see you. And yeah, we're seeing this heat continuing with that heat dome that you said tacked in place. It is not moving, and we're looking at triple digits for so many today, tomorrow, and really throughout the weekend into early next week. So 78 million people impacted by heat alerts from the west to the south central states, the southeast, the southwest. We're looking at excessive heat warnings. Phoenix, Las Vegas, you're going to be back into the triple digits once again today. So that extreme heat does continue. Phoenix 112 today. That's 6 degrees above normal for this time of year. 114 in Palm Springs, 107 in Las Vegas. It's really hot, too, in portions of New Mexico, Texas, also Amarillo, 103, 109 in Roswell, and near 100 degrees in Pueblo, Colorado. And then as we go throughout tomorrow, we're going to see those temperatures soar once again into the triple digits, 109 in Las Vegas, 113 in Yuma, 102 in Albuquerque, and 94 degrees in Durango. That's 7 degrees above what they typically feel this time of year. So the heat wave will continue into the weekend, into early next week, too. We're looking at Albuquerque on Saturday and Sunday into the triple digits, 117 on Saturday, also on Sunday in Phoenix. And that's going to be the story. We're going to look at Las Vegas into the triple digits, too, throughout the weekend into early next week, too. Now, we have the heat in place. We have a severe weather threat, too. 18 million people at risk today with winds gusting up to 75 miles per hour. Some really large hail, baseball-sized hail, and a few tornadoes are possible, especially where you see this yellow area. Des Moines, Omaha, Kansas City, Springfield, St. Louis, Peoria. We're looking at the chance for some really strong storms. As we go throughout tomorrow, we're going to see that risk slide to the east. So then we're talking about portions of the Ohio Valley. So Cleveland to Cincinnati, you could see some strong storms tomorrow. Really gusty winds gusting up to 60 miles per hour, damaging hail, and also the chance of an isolated tornado. Tomorrow, also on Thursday, we're going to see some rain into the northeast. Unfortunately, once again, also New England. So the hard-hit areas in Vermont and portions of New England will see a flood threat once again. And that's not just tomorrow. It's going to last into Friday as well. So we're looking at rain falling on really saturated soil. Tomorrow, the heaviest rain from Portland, Maine to Norfolk, Virginia. And that will be the story as we go throughout the weekend, too. We're going to see that rain sticking around. So, you guys, we have a couple tough days ahead of us with the heat, also with some stormy weather. We'll talk more about this next hour.
Awesome, Michelle. Thank you so much. Now we're going to turn to that historic flooding in Vermont. We want to bring in Jack McCullough. He's the mayor of Montpelier, Vermont. Mayor McCullough, thank you so much for joining us, especially when your town is going through something so tough. First, just describe to us the devastation that you've seen.
Well, it's a real improvement from yesterday, but I can tell you yesterday it was terrible. The streets were flooded. It was like rivers flowing through the main streets of Montpelier, and water flowing into all the businesses downtown. Since then, the water has receded, and now we're faced with a massive cleanup effort. We will start by getting all the mud and debris out of the streets, and then we'll be able to start with the rest of the work, clearing up all the businesses and helping people get back on their feet.
Mr. Mayor, I know the police department, City Hall Fire Department, they were all flooded. Obviously, I mean, it's hard enough for first responders to deal with this without their own, places of work being flooded. So how were they able to get to people in need and carry out everything that needed to be done?
Well, we had a tremendous amount of help from other departments. We've had other fire departments and rescue departments from around Montpelier, and I saw a group even from as far away, I think, as South Carolina, who just drove up to provide the help they could. So we had people
Wow.
We had swift rescue teams with boats getting people out of their locations if they were stuck, and we've had our fire and police departments at our emergency operations center at our water plant, which is on high ground outside of the city limits.
Oh, incredible to hear about people coming from so far just to help out. Mr. Mayor, I also do want to ask you about the Wrightsville Dam, just upstream from your city, getting dangerously close to capacity. That was a major concern at one point. What is the status there this morning? Is that something that you all are keeping an eye on?
We're keeping an eye on it, but we're definitely feeling better about that. The waters are receding, and we do not expect at this point that it will either overtop the dam or go into the spillway. So I think we're looking pretty good there. Our river level within the city is well below flood stage at this point. Of course, we have rain expected over the next few days, but I'm hoping it's nothing approaching the level we've had this week.
And Mayor McCullough, what resources are available for people who've been impacted by the storm, by the flooding there?
Well, the president has issued an emergency declaration. I've spoken to Senator Welch, who's working with other senators on both sides of the aisle to get supplemental appropriation for FEMA and other emergency services. And so as the days progress, we will be getting out all the resources to the businesses and residents so that they can get help getting back on their feet, as I said.
Mayor Jack McCullough, thank you so much for joining us. Stay safe, and we will be thinking of you and your constituents in your town.
Thank you very much.
Parts of Southern California are also dealing with devastation after a landslide knocked out more than a dozen homes. NBC News correspondent Steve Patterson is there with the latest.
A community on edge beneath the shattered roofs and cracked walls, with more than a dozen homes still on the move.
You can actually hear the snap, crackle, and pop every minute when you're there.
The LA County Fire Department red tagging 12 homes is unsafe, with 10 actively moving and another 16 under constant watch.
Are you worried about your house?
Oh, yes, of course.
Residents in Rolling Hills Estates, 25 miles south of Los Angeles, started noticing cracks in their homes and on the ground Saturday. Officials say the ground gave way to a landslide, taking 12 homes with it. Weber Yen had just 10 minutes to grab what he could and evacuate his home.
Is there any part of your home that is left standing?
No.
It's still sliding down.
It's 10 foot a day.
The cause is under investigation, pending a geology report.
We don't know how long that these homes are going to continue to move.
But officials say a fissure was found along the destroyed homes, raising suspicions about oversaturation after California's record-breaking winter rainfall.
It's moving quickly. There's nothing to do to stop it, and it's the most shocking, surreal thing I have ever seen.
With parts of homes still tumbling into the ravine behind them, residents urging for accountability.
I'm angry people have dropped the ball. Because there was indication that in April something might have happened, and no one alerted us.
And the real hope here is that all of this extreme land movement is isolated to the homes that you see over my shoulder, but we won't know that until a geological survey is done in this area. Officials say it's expected soon, but until then, homeowners say it's a mystery what happens next. Back to you.
All right, Steve, thank you.
And staying in California, Leslie Van Houten, a follower of Charles Manson, is out on parole this morning. Van Houten was released yesterday after spending more than 53 years behind bars for her role in 2 murders back in 1969. She originally received the death penalty, but that was reversed on appeal, and she received a life sentence with the possibility of parole.
This morning, there are 2 big developments in the federal criminal case against former President Donald Trump. The next court hearing in the case related to his alleged mishandling of classified documents was pushed back until July 18th. That's next Tuesday. That hearing was supposed to happen this Friday. Trump has pleaded not guilty in this case. Also, Trump's lawyers have asked to postpone the case until after the 2024 election. His legal team believes it would be nearly impossible to find an impartial jury in the midst of a presidential campaign.
And in one of the other cases against former President Trump, 2 grand juries were selected in Georgia that will likely decide whether the former president and his allies should face criminal charges for election interference back in 2020.
At the heart of the investigation is the call Trump made to Georgia Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger, suggesting that he could help Trump find enough votes to beat Mr. Biden in that state. Trump says he has done nothing wrong. NBC News legal analyst Danny Savalas joins us now with more. Danny, good morning. So what happens when this case is presented to the grand jury, and then what happens after the vote?
There are actually 2 grand juries who have been seated, and either one of them could end up actually hearing the Trump documents case. That's why the grand jury was likely seated within about 3 hours, because they probably didn't have to go through all the questions that a petit jury, and that's the jury that goes to trial, petit meaning small and grand meaning large. Grand juries are just large. That's all they are. There are obviously a bunch of other rules about secrecy, but these 2 grand juries, one of which will hear the Trump documents case, and then they will vote true bill or no true bill, yay or nay, and ultimately decide, presumably or hopefully in secret, one way or another, whether or not Trump or anyone else is indicted in Georgia for election interference.
So, Danny, with what we've already seen over the past couple months with the former president, with the New York indictment and a federal indictment, Trump has, of course, been able to continue his bid for the White House. In fact, of course, he's still the front runner. Would that be the case here, too? And then to take it a step further, if something happens in this particular investigation, could he take office if elected?
Of course, yes. This is a major constitutional issue, one that, of course, has never been addressed. And if I were to take a guess, this is the way it would work out. If Trump, say, for example, was on trial or even convicted or even imprisoned at the time he wins the election, if he wins the election and is sworn in all likelihood, the state case, the state prison term would go away during the pendency of his presidency. And the same thing for the federal case. Now, what if the cases are still pending, but he hasn't been convicted? Well, in all likelihood, the federal case goes away on pause, and so does the state case, but for different reasons. The state case because of the supremacy clause, but the net effect is the same. If Trump is elected, these cases go away, and the federal case goes away forever, because what will undoubtedly happen if Trump is elected while the case is pending, or even after he's convicted, or even after he's served the sentence, which would not happen with this timeline, then Trump would simply pardon himself, or if the case is still pending, he could do it in an easier way. He could simply hire an attorney general who is loyal to him, who he knows on the first day at work will dismiss the charges, and then the case goes away.
Danny, real quickly, another legal issue, this one on the civil side of things. Yesterday, the Justice Department announced it no longer plans to defend Trump in a defamation lawsuit brought by E. Jean Carroll. Real quick, what does that mean?
It means that the Biden administration is no longer interested in defending Trump, when during Trump's administration, it wasn't interested in defending Trump. So in some sense, look, the DOJ is independent. That's the way it's supposed to be. But as you can see, sometimes maybe it isn't so independent, because the Biden administration routinely takes positions that it never would have taken, or excuse me, the DOJ never would have taken under Trump. So to that degree, when the DOJ is involved in civil cases, it is arguably a lot more political than it is in criminal cases, when it's, at least we hope, a lot more independent.
All right, Danny, thank you so much.
Thank you. Coming up, a drought causing a state of emergency in one country. But this morning, some people say the water they're being given to drink is making them sick. The new questions about water safety and how the government is responding.
But first, into the rough. PGA Tour officials grilled over plans to merge with a Saudi-backed golf tour, how they're defending the controversial plan under intense pressure from lawmakers.
We are back now with golf officials in the hot seat. In Washington, executives of the PGA Tour were grilled at a U.S. Senate hearing on Tuesday. At issue, of course, is their controversial plan to merge with Saudi Arabia's Live Golf. NBC News Capitol Hill correspondent Ryan Nobles has more.
The PGA Tour under pressure.
Today's hearing is about much more than the game of golf. It's about how a brutal, repressive regime can buy influence.
The tour hopes to cut a deal with the Saudi Public Investment Fund, which runs the Live Golf Tour. Live Golf was poaching some of the PGA Tour's biggest stars, like Phil Mickelson and Brooks Koepka. The PGA Tour initially fought back against what amounted to a hostile takeover. but ultimately came to the table because they had no choice.
Money, rivers of money, and a rational market force.
That money is what has members of Congress concerned.
What are the amounts that have been discussed?
North of $1 billion.
The Saudi government has a history of human rights abuses, including their connection to the death of journalist Jamal Khashoggi. And Brett Eagleson, whose father died in 9/11, believes there's not enough money in the world to ignore the possible connection the Saudis had to those attacks.
They folded like a beach chair.
Jimmy Dunn, a tour board member who helped open the door to the deal, led a company that lost 66 workers on that day.
If any person had the remotest connection to an attack on our country and the murder of my friends, I am the last guy that would be sitting at a table with them.
But Eagleson, who handed Dunn an FBI report outlining the Saudi connections to the 9/11 terrorists, doesn't agree.
Mr. Dunn needs to realize who, in fact, he is actually getting into business with.
And this partnership is far from a done deal. The two sides have until the end of the year to come to an agreement, and the PGA Tour has promised that the Saudis will be nothing more than a minority investor.
All right, Ryan Nobles, thank you.
International headlines now. Northern India has been battered by heavy rain.
Claudio Lubanga joins us now from Rome with more on that. Hey, Claudio, good morning.
Good morning, guys. Yes, at least 41 people have died after heavy rains, flash floods and landslides have battered northern India since last weekend. Now, according to the authorities, last Sunday was the wettest July day in the capital, New Delhi, in more than 40 years. Thousands of people across the region have been evacuated as relief efforts continue and authorities work on reopening roads affected by the landslides. Now let's go to Syria, where the renewal of a cross-border aid was blocked after Russia used its veto at a UN Security Council. The 9-month renewal was meant to continue delivering food, medicine and shelter to 4 million people living in rebel-held northwest Syria who are still reeling from the devastating earthquake in February. Now, the U.S. ambassador to the UN, Linda Thomas-Greenfield, called Russia's decision an act of utter cruelty. And let's move to South Korea, where twin giant panda babies have been born in the country's largest amusement park near the capital, Seoul. The proud parents are 2 giant pandas on loan from China. The babies, both female, are the first twin pandas being born in South Korea, and both the mother and her newborns are in good condition. Now, guys, is there anything cuter than baby pandas? Yes, there is. Giant baby pandas.
Yeah, I was going to say, when they get a little bigger, their cuteness factor will go up a little bit.
Hamster looking.
And they do that bleeding sound when they're young. It actually is kind of cute. So, all right, Claudio.
They're so small, though. It's so, oh my gosh, wow.
Big. All right,
That's
thanks,
cute.
Claudio.
Thanks, Claudio.
In other international news, a state of emergency has been declared in Uruguay because of a severe drought there. Rain levels have reached the lowest levels that country has seen in decades. Now, the government is trying to do everything it can to get water to families, but some are raising concerns about the drinking water they're getting. NBC News correspondent Guad Venegas has that story.
Uruguay is suffering its worst drought in decades. This reservoir is a major water source for the capital, Montevideo. The water levels are so low, it's become unrecognizable.
A donde te llega la vista, llegaba el espejo de agua.
This local saying the water used to cover everything in sight as he stood surrounded by weeds and cracked dirt.
Es horrible, es horrible, horrible, horrible.
The reservoir at Uruguay's largest dam, today only using less than 2% capacity.
Hubo que mezclar el agua dulce que venía de la cuenca alta con el agua con bastante sodio y saluridad que venía de abajo.
The record drought and low rainfall has forced water officials to declare an emergency and use water from a saltier supply for the nearby 1.8 million people in the capital region. Residents there who used to drink safely from the tap forced to buy water bottles to avoid what they say is foul-tasting water.
El malestar que te causa.
This woman saying the water upsets her stomach and gives her headaches. Health officials have denied widespread negative health claims caused by the water. The government now distributing drinking water to the most vulnerable and exempting taxes on bottled water while promising a new reservoir. The drought and foul-tasting tap water also inciting protests in the nation, which has the highest GDP per capita in South America, according to the International Monetary Fund, and was the first country in the world to declare access access to water a constitutional right. Some critics blaming the agribusiness and developers for the current situation. The Guardian reporting that locals are also growing angry with a plan to build a Google data center in Uruguay that will reportedly use 2 million gallons a day to cool down servers. A Google spokesperson telling NBC News in part, quote, "The Uruguay data center project is still in the exploratory phase. As potential planning and design continues, we expect preliminary numbers to undergo adjustments." For now, residents continue stocking up on water, waiting out their only hope, new rain.
Thanks to Guad Venegas for that story. Well, the government is helping with bottled water. The health ministry says the tap water is suitable for human consumption in most cases, but officials are cautioning pregnant women, children under 2, and those with unique health conditions to avoid drinking it.
Coming up, Iowa lawmakers pass major new restrictions on abortion.
Up next, we'll take a closer look at the new bill and what it could mean for the future of health care in that state. Waking up this morning to new legislation that could drastically change access to abortion in the state. State lawmakers passed a bill that last night that would make it illegal for pregnant people to get an abortion past 6 weeks of pregnancy. Governor Kim Reynolds says that she expects to sign that bill into law on Friday. NBC News correspondent Shaquille Brewster is in Des Moines with more on how Iowans are responding to that legislation.
This morning, Iowa on the verge of enacting a new restrictive ban on abortion.
Back away from it!
Despite hours of intense protests and strong debate,
the bill is declared to have passed the Senate and the title was agreed to.
Iowa lawmakers overnight passing legislation blocking the procedure after the detection of cardiac activity, banning abortion at roughly 6 weeks before most women know they're pregnant.
If they're not prepared to have a baby, they shouldn't have sex.
Iowa Republicans passed a nearly identical version in 2018 that was quickly blocked by the courts. But that law came before the U.S. Supreme Court overturned Roe v. Wade, and Republicans hope a more conservative state Supreme Court will let this stand.
What kind of impact would this have on the abortion care you provide?
It would have a huge impact. This would affect almost all the patients that we see.
The bill includes exemptions to protect the life of the mother and for rape and incest if reported to law enforcement, public health authorities, or a doctor.
If this bill becomes law, women will die in Iowa. Common sense has walked out the door.
Iowa's governor promising to sign the bill into law on Friday. Iowa would become the 16th state restricting abortion access to 6 weeks or less. 14 of those states currently ban the procedure with few exceptions.
And as soon as that child is conceived, it is a child, it's a life, and it matters.
A March poll showed most Iowans say abortion should be legal in all or most cases, including 70% of women. But this morning, the limited providers across the state are scrambling, saying they're unsure of what happens next.
I want to continue practicing medicine, and I think the language is so vague that I need to know when I can intervene to save a woman's life.
That's Shaquille Brewster reporting. Even before this bill, neighboring Minnesota saw a 211% increase in people from Iowa traveling to that state for abortions. The law will be enacted immediately once it's signed. Planned Parenthood says it's promising quick legal action once that happens. Time now for your weekly checkup.
From the power of a popular board game to the link between good dental health and good mental health. It's fun that that rhymes. This week is all about brain power. NBC News medical contributor Dr. Kavita Patel joins us to discuss the latest health headlines. Hi, Dr. Patel. So this board game we're talking about is Monopoly. I feel like there's kind of, I don't know. Do you like Monopoly?
I haven't played it because it takes too long.
It's so long.
It's so long.
My husband loves it, but he's like into math and money things. So like I feel like that makes sense. But I was never a fan. But there is new research that suggests that we might want to give it a second chance if we don't like it. Why is that?
Well, especially if you're in the 3 to 9-year-old age group. So this is a research out of the UK that looked at 19 studies to understand whether board games can be helpful in language acquisition, math skills. Turns out board games, especially those with rules and numbers, can actually help in those very math skills that we talk about and that we want children that age to use. So here are the doctor's orders. They're pretty simple. Back to the board games, that is. And then try to plan game nights as a family. You may find them tedious, but your 3 to 9-year-olds that are around you are going to love them, and they're probably going to learn from them.
It is the only chance I'll ever get to buy a hotel. So I do look at it that way.
A 3-year-old playing Monopoly? Is that real? Is that possible?
It is a fairly simple game, just a little bit of math. All right, let's talk about something else. Brushing our teeth. Obviously, that's good for dental health, but doctors say it could also be good for your mental health.
Yeah,
what can you tell us about that?
Yeah, so in this case, we've known for a long time that gum disease, tooth decay, we've seen this have some role potentially in memory loss, potentially in Alzheimer's disease, but never really had any association to kind of link the two together. So scientists took 172 people ages 55 and older, none of them had memory issues, and then watched them over 8 years and did interval tooth exams, gum exams, and also did MRIs of their brains. And over those years of intervals, what they found is an interesting association. If you had severe tooth loss or severe gum disease, you actually had a shrinkage in the important area of your brain called the hippocampus. It's a very small but incredibly important horseshoe-shaped part of your brain that stores all your memories. It's how you know where your car is, where your keys might be, and it is believed to have an incredibly key role in Alzheimer's. So this does not mean that we know that gum disease and tooth decay lead to Alzheimer's, but it's another interesting association that brings us to today's doctor's orders, that if you don't rush when you brush and floss like a boss, because gum disease and tooth decay, big no-nos in my book.
Did you just make this up?
I feel like that's probably part of the dental,
floss like a boss. Have you ever heard that?
I'm sure I've heard. I think that's
I've got to encourage myself to do it. Yeah. So I gotta remember to do it.
Can you make all your doctor's orders rhyme from here on out? I think it'll help me remember that. Okay, finally, Dr. Patel, there's this new study. I was reading up on this, prepping for this segment, but I still don't fully understand the implications of this, showing that people can hear silence. What does that mean?
All right, if that felt like a really long silent pause, it's because it is. It's a great way to think about your brain. I know. You wondered if I was off my earpiece, what was going on. That silence sounded painfully long, and that's because researchers have also found and looked at this question: is silence the absence of a sound, or is it actually your brain processing some sort of sound? And so they set out to do what we call kind of an auditory illusion experiment, where they took really noisy restaurant scenes, inserted gaps of silence, some one time, some two times. The longer sound of silence compared to the same amount of silence spread out over 2 or 3 times really indicate that silence is something that we can sense, and that silence is actually something that we hear, and that our brain processes something when it is quote unquote silent. So next time you hear about that break or suspenseful pause, or when you can't think of what to say and everybody's hanging on your every word, that's actually a brain working. So the significance here is that Simon and Garfunkel sound, the song, The Sounds of Silence, there's something to it.
All right.
So the doctor's order here, silence is something you can hear. Try to enjoy the sound of nothing.
I love it.
So
okay, you
play
just
Monopoly.
gave our entire control room a heart attack, by the way. So, FYI.
There you go.
She
sounded
we
like
lost her.
Play Monopoly in silence while flossing like a boss.
There you go.
Do it all at once. All right, Dr. Patel.
Thanks.
Coming up, Bank of America accused of doubling fees, opening accounts without consumers' consent.
We will have more on the ruling and the major fines now being levied against one of the nation's largest banks. Stay with us.
Bank of America, the second biggest bank in the country, has been ordered to pay more than $250 million. This comes after an investigation found the bank was double charging insufficient fund fees, not giving out the cash rewards and bonuses it promised to customers, and in some cases opening accounts without customers' knowledge or permission. NBC News technology correspondent Jake Ward has more on what this all means.
Hey there. The Consumer Finance Protection Bureau has ordered Bank of America to pay tens of millions of dollars in penalties and in some cases money directly to consumers for a pattern of behavior they say began back in 2012. At that time, they began doing things like dinging people multiple times for non-sufficient funds fees. If you've ever overdrawn your account the way I have, you've been hit with that $35 fee. Turns out they were hitting people multiple times when the merchant would try to run the same fee again without letting people know and without giving them a chance to fight back against it. In addition, they accuse the bank of having not lived up to certain promises it made around bonus rewards and other sorts of incentive programs. And perhaps most startling, they say that Bank of America has, in fact, been using personal information of customers to open phantom accounts. We saw this at the heart of the scandal that engulfed Wells Fargo a couple of years ago. Well, now we're seeing it supposedly within Bank of America as well, in an effort to meet sort of internal sales quotas. All of this has led to this enormous judgment. More than $80 million worth of penalties will be paid directly to consumers, and tens of millions of dollars will also go directly to the Consumer Finance Protection Bureau, which maintains a victims fund. Supposedly that money will go on to people as well. So if you are a Bank of America customer, you should be watching out in the coming weeks for notice from either the CFPB or from the bank that you might be owed money. Back to you.
All right, Jake Ward, thank you.
Let's stand some financial headlines, starting with retailer Bye Bye Baby closing down its stores.
CNBC's Pippa Stevens joins us with that and other money news. Pippa, good morning.
Good morning. Well, Bye Bye Baby stores are set to close after a last-ditch effort to save the chain falls apart. Go Global Retail, a brand management firm, was in line to buy the chain, which was part of Bed Bath & Beyond. But Go Global tells CNBC it could not reach a deal on price. Bed Bath & Beyond's top creditor believes it can recover more of its losses by selling Bye Bye Baby's intellectual property and moving ahead with liquidation sales. Meantime, Google has pulled the plug on an AI-powered chatbot aimed at Gen Z users. CNBC has learned Google recently scrapped an app being developed called Bubble Characters. Internal documents show the chatbot had been in the works since 2021 and featured human-like conversations with users. It was reportedly put on the back burner in favor of work on Bard, the ChatGPT rival Google launched back in February. And Kim Kardashian is in talks to buy back the stake in her beauty company she sold to the retail chain Coty. The Wall Street Journal reports SKKN by Kim was valued at $1 billion when Coty bought the 20% stake 3 years ago. Kardashian wants to buy it back as part of efforts to expand the company's beauty categories. Kardashian has expanded her business empire in recent years. Her shapewear company, Skims, was valued at $3.2 billion last year. She's also launched a firm to invest in consumer and media companies. Kim K, man, business entrepreneur.
I know. All the Kardashians. I can't keep up with all the businesses. There's tequila, there's the lip gloss. I mean, it's pretty amazing, actually. Pippa, thank you so much. All right, well, let's stay on some business news. We're now into the second day of Amazon's two-day Prime Day sale. As you'll remember, it should really be called Prime Days, according to Joe and I. Well, it sounds like a lot of us are planning to take advantage of these price cuts. NBC News correspondent Maura Barrett has more.
We've been talking a lot about inflation in recent months and the fear of an upcoming recession and how consumer spending has been hitting lows on big ticket items these last couple of months especially. But people really are expected to come out during Amazon Prime Days. Tuesday and Wednesday this week are when the people are going to be focusing in on that. 80% of Americans saying that they plan on shopping during this time. And Amazon is expecting to bring in a projected $12 billion, billion with a B. I know those are big numbers, and so to put that all into perspective, last year, which was the biggest Amazon Prime Days ever, the company said that consumers around the world purchased 100,000 items every minute during this sale. And so that is just an absolutely insane number. But when you look at the deals that are on this site right now over this two-day sale span, we've seen some pretty crazy big deals. We've seen treadmills 40% off, vacuum cleaners that are only $900 marked down to $150. And so there's no projection on what exactly the sales will be until you see them pop up hour by hour. And so if you're interested in shopping this sale, it's important you make a wish list if you want to spend in a smart way and not just go sporadically spending online, and focus in on what you're really looking for. And then think about that category if it's something that's an Amazon brand, like a Fire Stick, a Fire TV, an Amazon Echo, or a Kindle. That's where you're going to get a good deal right now. But if you're looking for furniture or kitchen appliances like that, it might be smart to wait and look at other bigger retailers come Labor Day. Or if you can wait even longer for some electronics, Black Friday and Cyber Monday are just down the road. You could also do some price comparisons because Walmart, Best Buy, Target have also jumped on this summer sale bandwagon to really cash in on this Christmas in July feeling. You're going to get those best deals if you're a member of each of these retailers, if you sign up for their mailing list, or if you subscribe to their credit card. So either way you're going to be shopping, it's important to make sure you're looking for that best deal. Back to you.
All right, Maura Bear, thank you so much. I overwhelmed myself yesterday.
Did you?
There's just so much. It's crazy, but I went cleaning supplies. Very exciting. Coming up, turning the tables.
We're going to take you to the city where women are at the center of a lot of men's sports. That's coming up next. Welcome back. Britney Spears' memoir led to a bidding war, and now we're learning new details about the book. As first revealed by People, the title will be The Woman in Me. It'll be released on October 24th. The press release says that the memoir illuminates the enduring power of music and love and the importance of a woman telling her own story on her own terms. It'll cover her battle over her 13-year conservatorship, which she won last year. The book is published by Gallery Books, which is part of Simon Schuster. A lot of folks are going to be interested in that one.
For sure. I think, just good to hear her in her own words any chance she gets. So very interesting. All right. Thanks, Joe. We end this hour over in Seattle, which wrapped up hosting the Major League Baseball All-Star Game. NBC News correspondent Rahima Ellis got to talk to some powerhouse women working behind the scenes in the city's sports scene.
She's at the forefront of bringing big events to one of the country's fastest growing cities.
It's a huge catalyst for the revitalization of all of our cities, frankly, post-pandemic.
Beth Knox, who runs the Seattle Sports Commission, is thrilled about winning the crown jewel event in baseball for the first time in more than 2 decades.
Major League Baseball has awarded the 2023 All-Star Game to Seattle and the Seattle Mariners.
The All-Star Game at T-Mobile Park, home of the Seattle Mariners. And she's not the only female power player in Seattle's sports world, a world typically dominated by men. Katie Griggs runs the business behind the Mariners.
I am incredibly passionate about people.
2 years ago, she took over business operations for the team, becoming the first woman ever in that role for a Major League Baseball team. Her goal? Become the most progressive team in the sport. One way she's doing that, putting together a diverse committee that includes several women to pull off the premier event.
We really wanted to put together a group of emerging leaders who would look at this event holistically through many different lenses.
That's included hosting the Jenny Finch Classic for softball players from urban areas. The first ever showcase for players from HBCUs. A camp for a Native American tribal school in the area. Free events like the drone show and movie nights for people who can't afford the expensive tickets for the game. Griggs says adding diverse voices like hers means a better experience for fans.
I think it's really good for the sport. I think it's really good for sports in general to ensure that leadership reflects our fan base.
But progress of getting women in the room is slow. A recent report card by the University of Central Florida gives Major League Baseball the worst grade among major men's American sports. America's pastime has a long way to go, with women making up only about a quarter of senior administrators. Those numbers are even lower for top executive positions. But some pro teams are catching on. The Miami Marlins just became the first team in American men's pro sports to have women run the baseball and business side of things. And in football, the Las Vegas Raiders have made Sandra Douglas Morgan the first black woman to run an NFL team. But it's in Seattle where women are really running the sports show. At the University of Washington, the WNBA's Seattle Storm, and the NFL's Seattle Seahawks.
These women, in my experience, are very passionate about getting things done. But it's really about making the region a better place. And I love working with people who have that kind of passion and determination.
Seattle will stay in the sports spotlight, hosting the NHL's Winter Classic on New Year's Day, and NCAA Men's Basketball Regional in 2 years, and World Cup matches in 2026.
There's a lot of great aspects to Seattle. You can walk to the stadiums. So it's a special environment that is especially conducive to these large sporting events.
As for women helping to define men's sports, Griggs says gender parity is coming.
I see a path in the future to having a lot greater representation of our fans.
All right, thanks to Rahima for that story. The women also told NBC News that they see a responsibility to create a space for other women to get into sports management and encourage them to participate really in all areas of sports.
I live in Seattle. It's a great sports town, and everyone's just such huge fans of the soccer team there, the football team, all the sports.
Yeah,
so.
A lot of cool peek behind the scenes. Awesome.
Exactly. All right, that's going to do it for this hour of Morning News Now.
But the news continues right now. Good morning, and thank you very much for spending it with us. I'm Savannah Sellers.
I'm Joe Fryer. Right now on Morning News Now, a high-stakes meeting this morning. President Biden and Ukraine's President Zelenskyy coming together on day 2 of that critical NATO summit in Lithuania. But tensions are flaring over when and how Ukraine will actually join the alliance. We'll bring you the latest from Lithuania's capital. A weathered America. In Vermont, a glimmer of good news as those devastating floodwaters begin to recede in some spots. The governor says they haven't seen destruction like this in more than a decade. We'll have the latest on those recovery efforts. And down south and out west, another triple-digit scorcher for millions more. That dangerous extreme heat now expected to expand to other parts of the country. We have team coverage and your latest forecast all coming up. Also this morning, pressing pause again. More Ticketmaster troubles this morning for Taylor Swift fans as she takes her blockbuster Eras tour to Europe. More on yet another frustrating website meltdown and where the company is now placing the blame. And an American in London. It is a Cinderella story of sorts from Wimbledon, how a 27-year-old from the States is keeping his dream alive on the iconic grass. I always love to see those surprising American success stories.
Absolutely. Tennis is so much fun to watch, too.
Exactly.
So
and now you're going to become a player. So next year. All right. We begin this hour with the NATO summit in Lithuania, where members are gathering for a second day to discuss long-term support for Ukraine in its war with Russia.
This morning, President Zelenskyy is holding talks with NATO leaders, including President Biden. The Ukrainian leader is pushing members for longer-range weapons. Zelenskyy also met with NATO's Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg one day after calling the alliance's decision not to give a timetable for an invite, quote, absurd. Well, after that meeting, Zelenskyy said it would have been, quote, ideal if Ukraine was given an invitation to join. We've got NBC News military analyst Lieutenant General Steph Twitty standing by. But before that, let's get to our chief White House correspondent, Peter Alexander. Hey, Peter, good morning.
And effectively, the White House says
Hey, Savannah and Joe, good morning to both of you. This really is a critical day in President Biden's trip as he looks to fortify NATO's strength ahead of that sit-down with President Zelenskyy, who's been fiercely critical, as you note, of NATO's unwillingness to nail down a specific timeline for Ukraine to join the alliance. But White House advisors say that the U.S. and its allies here are deeply committed to helping Ukraine build a military that can defend itself and deter any further attack.
President Biden this morning on tap to meet with Ukraine's President Zelenskyy, their third face-to-face this year. But this time, a potentially more tense meeting between the two allies, amid disagreement over when and how Ukraine will be allowed to join the alliance. A statement from NATO's leaders here said they plan to include Ukraine eventually, but provided no specific timeline, saying there are democratic and military standards Ukraine must first meet. Zelenskyy initially called that decision absurd, but today appeared to soften his tone, saying he wants to be on the same page as NATO.
What we hear and understand that we'll have this invitation when security measures will allow.
This morning, world leaders here are announcing increased security assistance to Ukraine, calling it a long-term commitment.
Mr. Secretary, good morning to you.
Secretary of State Antony Blinken telling Savannah here on Today, the takeaway from this summit for Vladimir Putin is clear.
That tells President Putin that he can't outlast us. He can't outlast Ukraine. He can't outlast all of the countries that are supporting Ukraine.
All of it comes ahead of what the White House is casting as a major speech today. The president expected to tout NATO's increased strength. Just to the east, Russia is watching what happens here closely, accusing NATO of a strong anti-Russian attitude, warning the addition of 2 new NATO members, quote, carries very big risks. In Kyiv today, another round of Russian attacks with drones. Ukrainian officials say they were all intercepted.
Also this morning, news of another potential high-level loss for the Russian military. A Ukrainian official citing reports that a Russian senior commander was killed in a Russian-occupied city in eastern Ukraine after a long-range missile strike there. NBC News, we should note, has not independently confirmed this death. The Russian military so far has not commented, but he would be one of a growing number of Russian generals, Joe and Savannah, killed in this war.
All right, Peter, thank you so much.
Let's bring in Lieutenant General Steph Twitty for more on this. Good to have you with us. So first of all, do you think NATO is right to hold off on Ukraine's membership invite right now? And what do you make of Zelenskyy's frustration?
Yeah, so I do think that NATO is correct in their approach with Ukraine right now. we must all remember that Ukraine is at war. And if they're assessed coming into NATO, that would now mean that NATO is at war with Russia, which would mean that 31 nations, soon to be 32 with Sweden now coming on board, would be a part of the fight against Russia. And we all do not want a World War III in this case. And so I think we should hold up, wait to see where this war goes. Hopefully that the Ukrainians will be successful, and then they will be assessed into NATO.
So that brings us to the other big question today, which is how far members of NATO are willing to go to provide long-term support to Ukraine. Does it seem like NATO is united on that front?
I think it's been pretty clear that all NATO countries are expected to go for the long term here in terms of their support to Ukraine. There have been many pledges that have come out of this particular summit. As you know, the U.S., they provided $40 billion, and we will probably hear today after the meeting between Zelenskyy and President Biden, more support from the U.S. But for the long term, I see NATO staying with Ukraine and seeing this through, seeing this fight through with them.
So Russia sees NATO's eastward expansion as an existential threat to its security. You mentioned the worries about a World War III. Well, the Deputy Secretary of Russia's Security Council said increasing military assistance to Ukraine is bringing us closer to World War III. Do you think NATO is concerned enough about these risks?
I think they are concerned. That's why you see these metered things occurring. If you go back, first we didn't want to put tanks in, then we didn't want to put F-16 in. And so there are metered responses, and we're testing the resolve of the Russians, obviously. But we must go back and remember, it was not NATO that started this war, it was Russia. And the intent of NATO in doing all this is to provide peace and stability on the European continent, not just in Ukraine, but also along the NATO periphery and their borders. And so by doing these various things that they're doing, overall, they're providing that peace and stability on the European continent, which is so important to ensure that we have lasting democracy in Europe.
You know, NATO's not giving a timeline for Ukraine's membership. Do you have any idea how long it realistically could take?
Yeah, so as you know, war is uncertain. And so we don't know how long this war will take place. There's no negotiations that have started on the diplomatic front to try and end this war. And at this point, we have no clear winner. So we don't know the outcome, and we don't know how long this will take. My opinion is that we're going to be at war for quite some time. When I say we, the Ukrainians, and not just months. I think we're looking at years here. And so you can anticipate a year, maybe 2 years. You know, I hate to put a timetable to it, but I think once this war is over, we could see rapid succession of Ukraine getting into NATO.
All right. Lieutenant General Twitty, thank you so much. Now, the weather and that extreme heat wave that is creating unbearable conditions in the Southwest. It's been doing it for weeks.
Yeah, and it looks like that region won't be able to catch a break. That heat dome covering the area is forecast to expand into other parts of the country, actually. This morning, heat advisories, watches, and warnings are stretching from Florida to California. And in Phoenix, they have been dealing with triple-digit temperatures every day for nearly a month. They're on track now to break a nearly 50-year heat record, in fact. In the Northeast, some areas are cleaning up after severe storms this week. In Vermont, the focus has turned to recovery efforts as devastating floodwaters begin to recede.
We have full team coverage on all this extreme weather and your forecast. We're going to start off with NBC News correspondent Priscilla Thompson, who is in Houston. Priscilla, good morning.
Hey, guys, good morning. Unfortunately, the brutal heat is here to stay, showing little signs of relief in the coming days. Here in Houston, folks are already in the pool, getting their laps in before we hit those triple-digit temperatures today, as across the country, temperatures are making a run for records that have stood for nearly half a century.
This morning, extreme heat is intensifying from coast to coast.
This summer
is worse than all of the past summers.
Triple-digit temperatures baking the Southwest today, with highs expected to reach a staggering 120 degrees in some spots by the weekend. Experts say it's historically hot.
We're seeing things get worse and worse. We sometimes hear the expression a new normal. Is this a new normal? But it's worse than that. More intense and frequent heat waves, wildfires, floods, like we're seeing play out this summer.
The official start of summer was just 3 weeks ago, but already in South Florida, Miami has seen 31 consecutive days of a 100-plus degree heat index.
The humidity is what kills you.
In Texas, El Paso has had 26 100-plus degree days, their longest streak ever recorded. Houston is now bracing for another week of temps expected to feel like 105 degrees and hotter.
I came to the park prepared because I knew without it I'd die out here.
It's been 100 degrees for 2 weeks almost? It's crazy.
The prolonged heat has claimed more than a dozen lives already this summer. And July is on pace to be the hottest month in U.S. history. The harsh combination of heat and drought also hitting the heartland, impacting crops and produce.
All the customers want to come out and get their fresh grown produce, and unfortunately I don't have as much to offer as I would have. Mother Nature just needs to help us out.
The seemingly never-ending scorcher, leaving millions bracing for what's to come and hoping for some relief. And of course, one way to beat the heat is finding pools like this one. The YMCA here also serving as a cooling center. All great options as folks try to stay safe and survive these dog days of summer. Joe, Savannah.
Priscilla, thank you so much. For more on the dangerous heat, let's get a check on your morning news now. Weather.
Which means it's time for Michelle Grossman to join us again. Hey, Michelle.
Hey there, guys. Great to see you. Yeah, 78 million Americans under a heat alert today, and it's stretching from the southwest into portions of the south central states and the southeast, and really into the northeast. We're hot, too. So we're looking at heat warnings, heat watches, heat advisories. Where you see that hot pink color, those are excessive heat warnings, and that's because we're going to see temperatures once again into the triple digits. Look at Phoenix over the next seven days. We're only getting hotter by Saturday and Sunday, Monday, up to 117, still Tuesday at 115. Same story in Las Vegas. We're going to see those temperatures soar into 116 territory on Sunday, 116 on Monday, and then 112 on Tuesday. So that heat dome is going to stay in place. We're going to see those temperatures really soaring and staying in place over the next couple of days into next week. So we're looking at hotter highs into the north as well. New York City, 93. It's going to feel like 93, so not a lot of humidity. We have a little humidity this morning, but that's dropping throughout the day. But as you head down to the southeast, we're looking at Tampa, 94, feeling like 105. It'll feel like 106 in Miami. It will feel like 112 in Dallas, and in Kansas City, 96 degrees, but with a heat index, you're going to feel like 104. So it's hot in the northeast as well. As we head down closer to the southeast, south central states, we're looking at Houston, 100 degrees. That's where Priscilla is. It will feel like 111 today and feeling like 106 in New Orleans. Now, as we go throughout this weekend, we'll keep those hot temperatures in place. In Tallahassee, we're looking at the mid-90s Saturday and Sunday. You factor in that humidity, it will feel like over 100 degrees. Shreveport on Saturday, 100 degrees. It's going to feel hotter than that, too, with the heat index. And then D.C., you're going to be into the mid-90s by this weekend. So that hot air, the warmth, is going to fuel some storms as we go throughout today into tonight. 21 million people at risk throughout the Central Plains into the Midwest. Where you see that yellow, the storms are likely from Des Moines to Omaha, Kansas City, Springfield, St. Louis, Peoria. We're looking at some really strong winds gusting up to 70 miles per hour. That will bring down some power lines. That will snap some trees as well. Also looking at the chance for some damaging hail, 2 inches or larger, baseball-size hail, and a few tornadoes are possible. Now, as we go throughout tomorrow, we're going to see that the risk kind of move off to the east. So we're looking at the Ohio Valley under the threat for severe storms tomorrow from Cleveland to Cincinnati. But notice that green. That's starting in portions of the northeast all the way through to Tennessee Valley, back to the Central Plains for the threat of strong to severe storms. But the likeliest spot will be where you see that yellow. Winds could gust up to 60 miles per hour. Could see some hail as well, not as large as today, but still, and also looking at an isolated tornado or two. So this is what we're concerned about as we go throughout tomorrow. We're going to look at this cold front moving through New England. That's going to bring the chances for flooding increasing again in the Northeast. So we're looking at places that got hit hard earlier in the week, seeing some flooding concerns as we go throughout Thursday and Friday. The rain is falling on really saturated ground. So as we go throughout Friday, that front kind of lingers. It moves very slowly, bringing showers and storms, and also bringing the heaviest rain from Portland, Maine to also Virginia. This is what we're looking at in terms of rainfall totals, up to 3 3 inches in some spots, especially where you see that yellow. So you see Burlington, Rutland, portions of New England into the Northeast. We'll see some rain. It will be heavy at times as well. That's going to lead to some flash flooding. We do have a flash flood risk, and that includes Burlington, Albany, and also Syracuse. So, guys, we're going to watch that heat, and we're also going to continue to watch this flooding concern, especially Thursday and Friday in parts of New England once again. Back to you.
Thanks, Michelle. Appreciate it.
So much going on across the country, and let's stay on this and now get to the Northeast, where those floodwaters are starting to recede and people are surveying the extensive damage left behind. NBC News correspondent Kristen Dahlgren is in the capital of Montpelier that was especially hard hit. Hi, Kristen. Good morning. So just tell us first, what are you seeing as far as the extent of the damage there? It doesn't look great behind you.
Yeah, hey, good morning, Savannah. Not great at all. You know, as you mentioned, the river is down, but take a look what it's left behind. This gives you some idea of the power of these waters that we're talking about. There are entire trees just deposited here against this bridge because they couldn't get under it. And then here's another big issue with cleanup. Take a look, the mud. This is feet and feet of messy and sticky mud that people are going to have to deal with. They're trying to clean it up. We've seen some machines out here, but there is just a lot still to get to. And then the big concern with rain in the forecast is you can see how saturated the ground around here is. There's still standing water in a lot of places. And so that rainwater won't have too many places that it can go. So nobody really breathing a sigh of relief here yet, Savannah.
So, Kristen, you mentioned these machines coming by to clean up what looks like an impossible mess, to be frank about it. What resources are available as they start to begin the cleanup process?
Right. So that federal disaster declaration is going to help get some funds. FEMA is here on scene. There are still a lot of search and rescue teams that are on scene because there are entire communities that are still cut off. There are Black Hawk helicopters still flying, making sure that everybody, and I'm going to step out of the road here, everybody can get out of their homes if they need to get to shelter, get to safety. Here in Montpelier, 500 people have already signed up to volunteer for the cleanup today. They'll be downtown helping some of those businesses because a lot of the businesses will be almost a total loss of all their inventory inside. So, you know, the cost of this is just going to run into the billions.
Oh, my gosh. And it's just always so incredible to hear about all these people volunteering and helping. We heard earlier from a mayor who said people are driving up from South Carolina just to throw in their hands and help here. Always great to hear that. You mentioned those helicopters. What areas are search and rescue teams focused on today?
Right. So they're just there are a few towns to the south that are completely cut off. I don't know if you saw those train tracks where, you know, it had been washed out underneath them. That's an iconic image from this storm. And so in those places where they can't get to by road yet, by boat, those choppers are able to get into them. And then a lot of it, frankly, is we've seen people, you know, driving through some of this water. Here they're getting through it, but there are still places with standing water, and there are calls coming in from people whose cars get stuck in the middle of it, and they need to be rescued now. So the search and rescue team's still on standby getting those calls in.
Kristen, also pretty far behind you, you might not be able to see or hear it, but we're seeing some cars that almost look like they're turning around. What is the status right now just of being able to get around even in the areas where you are that are no longer cut off, but obviously still look like that?
Right. So the interstate is still open, but I mean, I'll come over here a little bit more if we have time, and you can see just the depth of this mud. You know, here it's up to my boots, and I might be stuck here. And then this water, so it is going up over the smaller cars. We did see a BMW get stuck earlier. And so, you know, a lot of people coming up across this bridge, seeing this, and they're really doing what they should, not knowing how deep this is and what's underneath it at this point. Because remember, you know, some of the roads, the asphalt's been washed away in places. So really dangerous when you come up to something like this to get across it. And so like the larger trucks are booming right through it, but some of the smaller cars deciding to turn around.
Yeah, good reminder. You said they're doing what they should by turning around, because that's where you can get yourself in a bad situation. Thank you for potentially getting stuck for us to show us that, Kristen. Stay safe. We appreciate it.
Now to news out of California. Leslie Van Houten, a follower of Charles Manson, is out on parole this morning. She was released yesterday after spending more than half a century behind bars for her role in 2 murders back in 1969. NBC News correspondent Ann Thompson has more on this.
Hey there, of course we remember those Manson family killings. They captured the attention of everyone in the late 60s, early 70s. The details so searing and brutal. Families have been against this release for years, but now Leslie Van Houten has finally won her appeals, and the governor says he had no choice but to let her walk free. This morning, convicted murderer Leslie Van Houten, one of Charles Manson's most famous followers, is out of prison. Van Houten was released to parole supervision on Tuesday in Los Angeles. The 73-year-old had been serving a life sentence after she was convicted for the gruesome killings of Lino and Rosemary LaBianca in 1969. Her parole request had been rejected 5 other times amid family members' outrage at the possibility she could walk free.
I want her to stay in jail the rest of her life.
It was part of a string of cult murders, all at Manson's direction, including pregnant actress Sharon Tate and 4 others at the home of Tate and her husband, director Roman Polanski. Van Houten, then aged 19, wasn't there for the Tate murders, but the next day she and other followers broke into the LaBianca's house and stabbed the couple multiple times. Van Houten was originally sentenced to death. That was reversed on appeal and changed to a life sentence. Though Governor Gavin Newsom had rejected parole in the past, his office now telling KNBC the governor is disappointed by the Court of Appeals decision to release Ms. Van Houten, but will not pursue further action as efforts to further appeal are unlikely to succeed. Van Houten speaking to ABC about Manson.
You know, it didn't happen overnight. He spent a lot of time taking middle-class girls and remolding them.
Charles Manson died in prison, but he and the Manson family have continued to capture the attention of the country and live on in pop culture, including the 2019 hit Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
You are...
I'm the devil, and I'm here to do the devil's business.
Now the real-life impact being felt by those left behind.
I really do not believe that anyone who kills 2 people, and especially having in such a brutal manner, should ever be let out of prison.
Van Houten's attorney says she no longer poses a threat to society. She says she has been in rehabilitation and therapy for decades while she's been in prison. And the attorney says there is nothing in Van Houten's record that points to the fact that she would be a danger to society today. Now back to you.
All right, Ann, thank you so much.
Coming up on this hour of Morning News Now, more Ticketmaster troubles for Taylor, why the company decided to temporarily pull the plug on ticket sales abroad, and what it says is to blame.
But first, we could be on the cusp of Hollywood history as the clock ticks down to a potential actors strike. Actors Guild strike, what that could mean for Tinseltown with writers already on the picket line. All that and more up next.
We are back, and the window is closing for the Actors Union and major studios to reach a contract agreement.
The Screen Actors Guild and the studios have until midnight to strike a deal. If not, the Actors Guild could join writers on the picket line, bringing Hollywood to a total standstill. Brian Steinberg is the senior TV editor at Variety and joins us now with more on this. Brian, good morning. So, first of all, just to recap, what is it the actors are asking for in these negotiations? Are we seeing any progress as this deadline approaches?
We've seen little progress so far. Actors, like the writers who are already on strike, are very concerned about the new ways that TV and movies are being produced. There are fewer projects, fewer episodes per project. It is a more difficult way to kind of make money. There are concerns about technology, like AI, and how it might usurp human beings doing actual work. And so there's a lot of concerns about setting the table for the future. And the two sides really are still at kind of an impasse right now.
Hey, Brian, it's good to see you. Thanks so much for being here. So writers, we're all talking about here, already on strike. I mean, what happens in Hollywood if actors also go on strike? How much does this standstill mean for just the entire industry?
Well, it gets even worse. You know, before, what was happening, you couldn't produce, you couldn't write new scripts. Therefore, most shows that haven't gotten to production couldn't do anything. But there are still some shows that already had things written and ready to go. Those could be filmed. Those could be produced. Now, even those are in danger because there's no one to read the lines, to do the action. So it just puts the pipeline it removes the pipeline even more than before. It is going to really block the flow of new content for Hollywood.
Yeah. So Brian, I mean, the studios are definitely going to feel the pinch here. Streaming services like Netflix still can access fresh material through international sources. We know so much of the Korean dramas have become very popular here in America, but how sustainable is that?
It's a kind of catch can thing. I mean, Netflix has had some success, like Squid Game, for example. And I know in the past writer's strike, you saw some of the networks take things from Canada and put them on screen here that hadn't been seen. You can do it. It is kind of like, I guess, raiding someone else's fridge to feed yours. It's possible. Not everything works in U.S. audiences or around the world. It's not a solution in the longer term.
All right. Brian Steinberg, thanks so much for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Taylor Swift is heading to Denver this weekend, the next stop for her Eras tour, but many Swifties already have their minds set on 2024.
Mine set in August when I'll be seeing her again. Well, she's taking her concerts global next year, also later this fall as well, and pre-sales are just beginning for the European shows. But now Ticketmaster is back in the spotlight as the anti-hero after pausing sales for shows in France after another website glitch yesterday. NBC News correspondent Emily Aketa joins us now with everything all of us Swifties already know, most likely. Hey, Emily, good morning.
Good morning to you. It's shaping up to be a cruel summer for so many Swifties. Even after Ticketmaster staggered days and times for ticket sales in Europe, Taylor Swift fans are still facing challenges they know all too well. Long queues with hundreds of thousands of fans and website glitches now plaguing the pre-sale to the megastar's European performances.
Seeing the Eras Tour live is a dream for so many Swifties around the world. But it's hard to do just that, as Ticketmaster's troubles selling Taylor Swift tickets have now also emerged abroad in Europe. On Tuesday, the company paused sales to Swift's 6 shows in Paris and Lyon, France next year. Ticketmaster says an issue with a third-party provider is to blame, adding, as soon as we saw fans experiencing issues, queues were paused. All codes not used to purchase tickets will remain valid.
I got the lucky space of 463,506. When I got that email a few hours later saying that the entire site was that they're pausing ticket sales, that was very shocking.
This dilemma hard to shake off for Swifties that watched the Eras Tour Ticketmaster meltdown unfold in the U.S. last fall.
I had the tickets in my cart, the exact tickets that I wanted, and then I spent the entire 10-minute countdown trying to log in.
Zoe McCormick lives in Paris and says she took off work Tuesday to purchase Eras Tour tickets.
I was so sad, so disappointed that this was happening again after everything that had happened in the U.S.
Last November, Ticketmaster ultimately canceled the general sale for Swift's United States tour after a massive pre-sale rush and bot attacks caused the site to glitch. Some fans waited for hours in virtual queues only to see error codes sending them to the back of the virtual line. For many, eventual heartbreak.
This is history here. We've never seen the demand for this kind of tour before. A Ticketmaster can only afford to blow this so many times.
Ticketmaster's technical issues and control of the market, even taking center stage at a Senate hearing earlier this year.
We apologize to the fans. We apologize to Ms. Swift. We need to do better.
For now, Swifties are staying hopeful, saying they'll be enchanted if they can just land a ticket.
I just want to be there, and I want to dance with my friends, and I want to sing. I'm still staying positive.
And last month, Ticketmaster announced it will begin all-in pricing in September to eliminate those hidden fees, so you'll see the total up front. Meanwhile, Ticketmaster has not yet set a new on-sale time for those France shows, and so far no reaction from Taylor Swift to the latest turmoil with the company, but she said it was excruciating to just have to watch back when fans in the U.S. faced similar wait times. So the saga continues.
What a nightmare. All right, Emily, thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Coming up, an attempted kidnapping in Florida reportedly thwarted by one courageous 6-year-old who bit back.
Her miraculous story of bravery and survival. That is up next. Welcome back. Turning now to a civil rights investigation looking into Black maternal health. Cedars-Sinai Medical Center is facing allegations of racism and discrimination sparked by the family of Kira Johnson. She was a former patient of the facility who died after giving birth at the hospital. Her husband is alleging she was not provided adequate care because of the color of her skin. NBC News correspondent Valerie Castro has the details.
The LA Times reporting a California hospital is facing a federal civil rights investigation for the way it treats Black women giving birth there.
My wife would be here with her boys if it wasn't for the color of her skin.
The death of 39-year-old Kira Johnson initiating the scrutiny after her husband filed a civil rights lawsuit against Cedars-Sinai Medical Center. It was later settled. Kira and her husband Charles, already parents to one son, a picture-perfect family, when she died after a scheduled C-section delivery of their second child in 2016.
After allowing my wife to bleed and suffer needlessly, while my family and myself begged and pleaded for them to simply just treat her with dignity and respect.
The case bolstered by this video deposition from Angelique Washington, a former surgical technician at Cedars-Sinai who was in Kira's operating room.
The room started to look like a murder scene, a crime scene. It started blood everywhere. I knew it didn't feel good.
The LA Times reporting on the investigation after reviewing a letter sent to Kira's husband Charles from the Federal Department of Health and Human Services, stating the department is reviewing the allegations. NBC News also obtaining the letter that says in part the HHS Office of Civil Rights, quote, is aware of allegations that Black women are provided a standard of care below what is provided to other women who are not Black when receiving health care services related to labor and delivery. HHS confirming the investigation to the LA Times. NBC News has not heard back from the department. The CDC says in 2021, the maternal mortality rate for Black women was 69.9 deaths per 100,000 live births. That's 2.6 times the rate for white women.
It has to do with racism in society, racism in healthcare, bias amongst healthcare professionals. So we're seeing a disproportionate number of deaths.
A Cedars-Sinai spokesperson declining to comment on the investigation, but telling NBC News Cedars-Sinai clinicians, leaders, and researchers have long been concerned with national disparities in Black maternal health, and we are proud of the work we've done and continue to do to address these issues. Kira's husband also filing a lawsuit against her doctor for gross negligence, receiving a $1 million settlement, and filing an additional suit against the hospital that was also settled. Johnson vowing that the pain his family has endured will shed light on the devastating consequences.
Kira's legacy will be that this is no longer allowed to happen anyplace.
Our thanks to Valerie for that important report. Well, since Charles Johnson went public with what happened to his wife, Kira, he's heard numerous stories of similar tragedies. He says he hopes this investigation will lead to change, not just at Cedars-Sinai, but at other hospitals and healthcare systems throughout the country.
Now to the story of a brave 6-year-old. The young girl sent a man running when he tried to abduct her in front of her Miami home. NBC News Digital reporter Maya Eaglin has the details.
A courageous 6-year-old girl with a big bite. 6-year-old Allyric was sitting outside her Miami apartment by herself when police say this man grabbed her and tried to pull her into an SUV. Allyric telling NBC South Florida that's when she fought back.
I bit him right here.
On his arm? How hard did you bite him?
Real hard. After the bite, the man eventually gave up.
And then he threw me on the floor, started running back to his car and left.
Police say the 6-year-old and her siblings noticed a white SUV parked nearby earlier.
I already know because we never seen no white and black car.
After reviewing surveillance camera footage, authorities spotting a man and the car matching the description lurking around the apartment building before the attempted abduction and then fleeing. Using street cameras and a license plate reader, police tracking down and arresting 33-year-old Leonardo Venegas, according to an official police press release. He was arrested without bond on kidnapping and child abuse charges.
Just protect your kids and look over them. Keep a close eye on them because anything can happen in the blink of an eye.
Allyric's mother grateful her daughter's safe and proud of her bravery.
You know, some kids can't think quick like that, but I'm glad that she thought like that.
Hi, Eaglin, thanks so much. While Allyric is safe, police say there might be other victims out there. Miami officials are asking anyone with information or tips to come forward.
Now, this next story might just make you yawn. It's a topic near and dear to our hearts. Working on a morning show, we're talking all things sleep. Some new research shows that women actually have a harder time falling and staying asleep. Today's show anchor Jenna Bush Hager has all the sleepy details.
It's almost 2 in the morning. I'm not tired.
Reason I can't sleep, number 2,133.
I can fall asleep, I just don't stay asleep.
If you're a woman dealing with sleep issues, you aren't alone. According to a recent survey by the National Sleep Foundation, women are more likely to report trouble falling asleep and staying asleep than men, with the U.S. Office of Women's Health stating that 1 in 4 women has insomnia symptoms.
Women do experience many more sleep difficulties than do men.
Dr. Rebecca Robbins is a sleep expert at Harvard Medical School.
Women are a little bit more prone to feelings of worry, feelings of anxiety and depression. They're shouldering more household duties than a typical male, which generally creep into the workday, and then the workday spills into the evening, and then that spills into sleep.
Dr. Robbins says hormones play a big role in disrupting sleep, too. They can cause mood changes like increased feelings of anxiety and physical symptoms like cramps, which may disrupt sleep. Pregnancy and menopause can also cause physical symptoms like nausea and hot flashes that can negatively impact sleep. And we're not immune from it either.
I just toss and turn. Do you sleep well?
No, because there was a lot of turmoil. Sometimes kids don't go to sleep.
So what can you do to ensure a good night's sleep? Sleep experts say women should create a cool, dark, and quiet sleep environment. Set a strict time to start winding down for bed, including putting your phone down. Try relaxation techniques such as meditation or writing down your to-do list for the next day before bed. And if your partner snores, you may want to sleep in separate bedrooms.
If you're listening today and you're like, oh my gosh, there are hormones, there are environmental factors, all of these things are conspiring against me in my sleep. But do rest assured that if you're diligent, if you practice these healthy sleep strategies, you will be amazed.
Jenna Bush Hager, thank you so much. Well, Dr. Robbins also said that if you are experiencing trouble sleeping consistently for more than 2 months, you should seek professional help. That happens to me where I'll fall asleep, but then staying asleep.
That can be a trouble. Like, I hate if I wake up in the middle of the night and can't get back to bed.
Oh, my gosh. And I come up with the most ridiculous to-do lists. Like, I'll randomly have anxiety about, like, if my dog is caught up on her vaccines. That seriously happened to me recently. Okay. It's like I find anything.
All right,
so I appreciate that report.
We've got a fresh read on inflation breaking this morning.
Yeah, we'll break down the numbers with none other than Investopedia's Caleb Silver and our own Brian Chung, our financial news Avengers. What it all means for your bottom line next on Morning News Now.
We're back with some breaking economic data.
That's right. Inflation cooled to 3% in June over the year and 0.2% on the month. Well, here to help us make sense of all this, we have NBC News business and data reporter Brian Chung at the big board and Investopedia editor-in-chief Caleb Silver here at the desk with us. Good morning to you both. As always, we appreciate you on a morning like this. Brian, I'll start with you to just walk us through these numbers. Sounds like a little bit of good news. How does this compare to the previous month?
Yeah, good morning, Savannah. Good morning, Joe. The numbers are certainly encouraging when we see that the pace of price inflation is declining. So as you mentioned, 3%, that's how much prices rose between June of 2023 and June of 2022. That's a slower pace than the 4% that we had seen between May of this year and May of last year. But I want to point out, we're a year out from essentially what was peak inflation. So in June of 2022, the rate of inflation to June 2021 was 9.1%. Wow. So really, that shows quite a far fall, that I want to point out. This is still a positive number, so prices are still rising. They're just rising at a slower pace, which is encouraging news.
Caleb, let's get your reaction to this. 3%, is that surprising?
Yeah, well, we were expecting around that number. We came really, really close to a 2% handle on this number, which shows the impact of all those rate increases by the Federal Reserve. They're working. We're also looking at real average hourly earnings. Comes out at the same time as the CPI report. The Fed's watching this, too. That only climbed 0.2% last month, slower than prior months. So prices are coming down for consumers. Wages are slowing. Two things the Fed wants to see happen.
Brian, tell us also what specific categories are we seeing the biggest changes in?
Yeah, well, for this rate of inflation to go down, you're going to have to see some, slowing price increases in certain categories. And in the month, we did see it specifically in areas like food, for example. So it was a 0.2%. These are monthly changes, increase between April and May. Between May and June, it went up went up by 0.1%. And interestingly, food at home actually essentially went flatline. It's really food away from home dining out that got a little bit more expensive. Now, energy, we saw a decline between April and May because of gas prices going down. It didn't necessarily decline further, but it only went up by 0.6% between May and June. And I want to point out shelter. This is the most expensive thing for most budgets, right? It's the largest share, rent, mortgage payments. It went up by 0.6% between April and May, and it went up by a slower pace of 0.4% between May and June. And this is a big deal for a lot of American families because maybe this shows that the bleed through of higher rents and higher mortgage payments is starting to slow. We'll have to see whether or not that trend continues in the months to come.
And those high rents have been such a huge issue over the last year or so. So you mentioned the Fed. What does this probably mean now when they meet again? Are we going to see another interest rate hike? How much longer could it last?
Yeah, the Fed meets in 14 days, 5 hours, and 15 minutes. I'm not counting, you're counting. And they're probably going to raise rates again 0.25%. And this will probably be the last interest rate hike of the year. We may see some rate decreases at the end of the year even. So this may be it, what we call the terminal point of interest rates. We'll probably see that when the Fed meets in a couple of weeks. And that's it. And I think traders and investors have been anticipating this if you've seen the rally in the stock market.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, Brian, Mr. Math, put a nice bow on this for us. What does this just mean for everyday Americans managing their bills?
Yeah, really quickly, I want to show you just kind of how far we've come specifically on these household items that a lot of people spend money on. Again, we're a year out from peak inflation. So where are we on categories like these things? Well, $2.71 for a dozen eggs. That has gone down to $2.22 now. And by the way, that was a lot higher in the middle of the year. You recall in the winter, it really spiked to $4 or $5 a dozen in some cases. Gasoline has gone down from $5.15 last year to $3.82 now. So that's encouraging as well for those that are traveling for the summer. Milk also declining. $4.15 last year. Now it's only $3.99. But again, not all categories decline. A loaf of bread actually increased from $1.69 to $1.94. So this is the kind of status of things that a lot of Americans are putting in their baskets a year out from peak inflation. Really important to recognize that, look, food prices is a major reason for why overall headline inflation has come down. But when you strip out those more core measures of inflation, that does remain high. The year-over-year measure is actually still quite high.
Brian, Caleb, what would we do without you? Thank you so much, as always, for reading in so quickly and being with us. We appreciate it.
We have more breaking news this morning out of Illinois, where at least 3 people were killed. Another 14 were injured in an overnight Greyhound bus crash.
Yeah, as you can see here on your screen, officials are still working through the horrific scene. State police say the accident happened around 2 o'clock in the morning when this bus slammed into 3 commercial vehicles that were parked on an exit ramp. The driver of the bus has been confirmed as one of the people hospitalized. It is still unclear what ultimately caused this accident.
Financial headlines now. It looks like inflation is hitting another aspect of American life, heading back to school.
CNBC's Pippa Stevens joins us once again with that and some other money news. Hey, Pippa, good morning.
Hey, Savannah. Well, inflation is weighing on back-to-school spending. Deloitte's annual survey, which is out today, finds shoppers plan to spend 10% less per student. The biggest declines are on clothes and technology. Shoppers cite inflation and their personal financial situation as primary reasons to cut back. The cost of school supplies has risen nearly 24% in the past 2 years. CVS Health says its Caremark prescription billing system is operational again after an issue caused delays for customers trying to fill their orders on Monday. Caremark is the nation's biggest drug benefit manager, handling prescriptions for millions of Americans. A CVS spokesman says there may be temporary delays as pharmacies work through a backlog. And General Mills is trying to make its products like Cheerios greener. It's paying Regrow Ag, a startup focused on renewable agriculture, to help in those efforts. Regrow uses satellite images, weather data, government maps, and on-the-ground reporting to create a computer model that knows how crops behave based on different conditions. Companies like General Mills are buying Regrow's software and offering it to farmers. Savannah, Joe, back to you.
Cool.
Very cool. All right, yeah. Pippa, thanks so much.
Thank you. Welcome back. Well, this one might divide some people, but if you're devoted to Hallmark's Christmas movies, we might have the vacation for you. The network has announced its first ever Christmas-themed cruise. It's sailing in November. The Norwegian gem will be transformed into a winter wonderland for a journey from Miami to the Bahamas. Passengers can join in seasonal activities like Christmas cookie decorating, ugly sweater contests, and wine tasting. That's a new holiday activity. Some favorite actors from Hallmark holiday movies will be doing meet and greets, and fans can attend the premiere of a new Countdown to Christmas movie on board. I think only divided because I'm like this. I'm a little on boats. I know some people don't love cruises.
Right. It's
the Hallmark movie aspect, though.
You like.
I love. In fact, you viewer, you may remember that I had the absolute esteemed privilege of heading to with the snow machine.
She has one of these in her office now, by the way.
I wish. This was one of the best moments I've ever had on a shoot, getting to do this fake snow thing. It was, what was it, 102 degrees or something this day in Utah. This was so epic. It was so much fun. Actually, since we were just talking about this, I texted Casey, our mutual friend and producer, and I'm like, we need a Hallmark follow-up story this year. What are we going to do?
Perhaps you could go on a cruise.
You can all watch me have a panic attack.
I, before the pandemic, covered Christmas camp, where people went for a few days and learned how to make a charcuterie board and all that. It's kind of fun.
So cool, yeah.
Now do it on the water.
I remember. Well, that woman who runs that, she's like all Christmas.
Yes,
all the time.
Christmas Karen.
Love it. All right.
Let's do it for this hour of Morning News Now.
But the news continues right now, so don't go anywhere.
Thanks for watching our YouTube channel. Follow today's top stories and breaking news by downloading the NBC News app.